Hey, well, good afternoon and welcome everyone. My name is Lisette Andrea, and we are going to welcome our labor information session today on customer service and call center. We have two amazing agencies that are going to be presenting to us on the subject, Tracy Bolson from Leeds and Tom Messiah from the Goodwill Career Center. Please help me welcome them. And we're going to talk about what the labor market is on those fields, as well as the wages and the working conditions. We're also joined by my lovely coworker, Mary Ann Malloy, who will be monitoring the chat in case you have any questions. And also, a last reminder, we're going to be recording this session for future reference. Thank you. Please go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Lisa. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to take part in these labor market information sessions. I facilitate the expert customer service training at Goodwill, and I'm going to be joined by two of my colleagues today, Carissa, who is our job developer who works with the participants of our customer service training, and also with Sabrina, who is the manager of our Sherwood store. She's going to be giving some insights into the employer's perspective in terms of customer service. So Goodwill and Leeds, we share a common goal in that we seek to prepare our clients really to step into customer service roles in a labor market that is kind of uncertain and ever changing, especially as we start emerging from COVID. But as the facilitator of our training, that's part of what we seek to do. So I'm just going to share short PowerPoint, give you some of the main features of our training. So basically, our training takes place over 4 weeks. There's 2 weeks in class. In fact, we just started the first cohort last week of the in-class training. It was virtual for the last year or so, so it's really nice to have people in the room again. 2 weeks in class, and then there's a 2-week job placement. And it includes certificates in AODA, which is Assisting Ontarians with Disabilities, how to provide first-class customer service to folks with disabilities. There's WHMIS certification, safety awareness in 4 steps, and cash training. We also really focus on the effective communication skills and active listening skills, which are so important to customer service. As part of that, we look at handling difficult customers, as well as providing very good telephone customer service. And each of the participants has their own labor market research project. So over the period of 2 weeks, they go out into the community and they rate 3 different businesses or agencies on their level of customer service. And this is really very beneficial to them because it really sort of helps to open their eyes about the level of customer service in the community and maybe things that they have taken for granted before. Also, we look at job search skills, networking. We help them with resume development, understanding the local labor market, as well as job interview skills and practice. So the practice part is really important. We really don't just give them the theory, but they get to work on the practice end of things. And that applies also with handling difficult customers. We make good use of scenarios with this role playing, so they get to try out different strategies for that, as well as job maintenance, how to keep a job once you've found one. And we like to have folks coming in to present to the group. Clothing Works here at Goodwill, we talk about presentation skills, and we cover some basic ideas about how to put together a good wardrobe. And we also can assist them with interview attire if that's something that they don't have or can't afford at the moment. We always have a Goodwill store manager come in as well to give her perspective on what she looks for in a candidate, and a chance for the participants to pick her brain about what's it like to be a Goodwill team member working in the store. The job placement, which Carissa is going to be speaking about next, it takes place over 2 weeks. So it's usually between 40 and 50 hours. And it's a customer service setting. So that could be retail. Usually it is. Often it's in a Goodwill store, but not necessarily. So it could be retail or a call center setting or even an office setting. And Carissa and the other job developers, of course, provide ongoing coaching and support while they're on that placement. And the employment rate from this program is quite high. It's around 85%. So we feel that we're really helping the candidates prepare for this field, and they really emerge. And the feedback that we get is quite positive, that they feel quite well prepared to step into these kind of roles. So with that, I'm going to pass the baton to my colleague, Carissa. And if I can find the mouse, I'm going to stop my share. So Carissa, over to you and talk about job placement.
Excellent. Thanks, Tom. So I've been with Goodwill for 2 years now, and the Expert Customer Service program has been awesome specifically for the customer service skills, but also helps people solidify those skills back into the workforce. So I've worked with clients in the past with their job placement, but also focusing with those job placements of hires that could potentially there. It's a good opportunity for employers to see those soft skills and those customer service skills that can be utilized in future roles. So it's seen really good success. My last placement ended up in an early childhood educator assistant position through her customer service skills. So there's been a variety of different ways that we've used customer service. And I really like to focus in on clients to see what their interests are, because we see better retention when people are, doing jobs that they enjoy. And really it's less headaches for me too if somebody enjoys their job, right? So it's a win-win. We want to see people enjoy their jobs, go to work, and just have a good overall business, good business. So yeah. Did I hit all the points, Tom?
I think you did. Thanks, Carissa. And now if we could get Sabrina to chime in on, give us some insights into the employer's perspective, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, I'm Sabrina. I'm the manager at the Sherwood community store. So yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about customer service, what we kind of look for, hiring process, all that kind of stuff. If I'm looking this way, it's because I have my notes on my phone. So, so customer service to us, it's obviously important because we're a business. So customer service, good customer service helps generate revenue and brings back repeat customers, all that good stuff. But also because we are part of Goodwill, ensuring that our staff has, a good basis of customer service skills that we can help build upon sets them up for success if they do decide to move forward, move up and on to a different role. And kind of our job is to help our employees be successful in whatever they choose to do. So ensuring they have strong customer service is going to get them prepared for anything else that they may decide to do. In terms of our process, I guess, for hiring, at least at my specific store, is that we look over every resume that we receive. Then we narrow it down a little bit and we do phone interviews. And then from there on, we do in-person interviews, and then we decide on a candidate from there. So when we're looking at the individual, when we're looking at candidates, some of the things that we're looking for are obviously communication skills, a positive demeanor, enthusiasm for the job, and then experience, of course, is always an asset, but it's not necessarily something that we need to see in order to recognize, potential for good customer service. So on the resume, like I said, experience is a good thing, but it's not the deal breaker or anything like that. But we're looking for a resume that is communicative. So when I'm looking for a role that's going to be on the sales floor or that is going to be dealing with customers, when I'm looking at a resume, I want to make sure that whoever wrote that resume is communicating to me about themselves, right? You can kind of tell the difference between, a very short resume versus one that is genuinely telling me about them, because that shows good communication skills, even on paper. Something to add on to that, again, because I know a lot of people are always stressed out about a lack of experience, but a good way of being communicative on your resume is kind of playing into your strengths. So we have a lot of students that apply that may not have, even volunteer experience or anything like that, but they're very good at explaining how their education experience plays into the role that they're looking to get. And to me, that shows kind of that enthusiasm, that eagerness and wanting to work when you're able to kind of work with what you've got. Cover letters too, again, if someone doesn't have a lot of experience or anything on their resume, this happens a lot with students or people that have been out of the workforce. We've had this a lot where they'll write a cover letter that kind of covers maybe some more soft skills or that enthusiasm for the job. And then I can see why they want to work here and can read through and decide, oh, okay, they'd be a great fit for working with others and working on the sales floor because I can see that they're communicative just through writing. When we get to the phone interview, typically it's on the spot. So I'm not overly concerned about their answers to the questions because it's difficult to go unprepared into a phone interview, right? I'm not looking for the most intense answers, but I'm just looking for comfortability and just the ability to kind of make conversation and act on the fly. And if, they're comfortable talking with me and going through the interview steps, even if they might not have all the answers, then we move on to an in-person interview. And that one, we do expect people to be a little bit prepared. But the main importance when we go into that in-person interview, when we're thinking about customer service, is answering the situational questions that we have. So, we ask very basic interview questions, but then we get into some more situational ones, which ask for specific examples. So ensuring that the candidate answers those with specific examples. And we have a few questions that we ask, like a good customer service experience they've had, a misunderstanding that they've had that they've solved. That shows a little bit of de-escalation skills. And then even some experiences they've had with team members that they're proud of. Because typically if you can work well with others, that translates whether it's a customer or a coworker. And with that, again, we're looking for those strong communicative skills. So if someone doesn't have, specific examples that are work related, a lot of our strong interviewees, they will pull from, volunteer experiences or education experiences or even personal life, right? If they have had a good example, we've had people that, volunteered in day camps and they're able to work with the experience they've had to relate it to the questions we're asking. And that just shows, really good problem solving and communicative skills that we're looking for. And that's really kind of the whole process for us. We don't ask for references anymore for retail hourly employees as per direction from our HR department. So it is really important that we go through the steps, looking over the resume, doing the phone interview, doing the in-person interview, and judging from the comfort level and the ability to answer the questions for the candidate, because we can't rely on, external sources or someone else giving a good recommendation. We have to go solely by the experience we have with the candidate. So when it comes to customer service skills, really what we're looking for is a strong ability to communicate, because if you have that, you can build upon that with anything else. So hopefully that kind of gives a good idea. Hit everything you wanted to talk about, but
Awesome. Thanks, Sabrina.
Yeah.
So that's the goodwill portion. If Leeds would like to
Tom,
could take it from there.
Tom, just before we switch over,
Yep.
we do have a question presented, and I'll ask Goodwill, but I don't get Tracy. I'll let her present first. But we have a question in regards to wages. Can you take a minute and please address what is a fair range of wages that a participant could expect? Please, thank you.
Yeah, I'll refer to Sabrina for that.
So our starting wage right now is $14.75. So when we bring on a candidate, if they're doing a placement with us, they start at $14.75. All new hires do, for an hourly position. And then if they remain on with us, you know, people that we have as permanent employees, every single year you're up for some type of raise based on performance, and it kind of varies depending on the yearly review, but typically, yeah, $14.75, and then each year you receive some sort of incremental raise.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That's good to know.
So I guess, Tracy, you're going to be talking a little bit about customer service at Leeds.
I am, and this is a really good segue, just talking about customer service. So I am going to share a screen here. Maybe I am. Okay. So I wanted to start off, we're going to talk a little bit about what this industry looks like. Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what it is to work in a call center. I think we're all familiar with that outbound call center model where you're getting phone calls wanting to know if you want your ducts cleaned, or you need your carpet cleaned, or do you want to buy a ticket so a kid can go to the circus, those kinds of things. So this industry has changed a lot from those days. And so I just we're going to take a little bit of a look at outbound versus inbound call centers, what some of the working conditions are like, what you can expect when you work in a call center. We're going to take a look at the many call centers in London that are currently hiring and that Leeds has connections with. And then wrapping up with a bit of an overview of the training that we offer that helps prepare our clients to work in that sector. So that is where we're going to go here. So let's see. So types of call centers, we've got inbound and outbound. A lot of those inbound centers are doing tech support right now. So when you're at home and you feel like you're pulling your hair out because your internet has gone down or something has happened to your cable, and you need it fixed immediately, you are most likely going to be calling a call center to have that initial tech support. Lots of customer service information inbound and offering assistance. A lot of sales and services have inbound centers, and so do a lot of travel. So if you're calling an airline or you're booking a hotel, those are all going through inbound call centers. And then we've got outbound, some of those things that I talked about. So outbound call centers, maybe window companies. Hey, do you need some new windows and doors? Wouldn't your home be much more efficient if you had new windows? Outbound surveys. In our building, we've got a company that does all outbound surveys to both residential and commercial type places. And so they're doing surveys. So it would be an example of, let's say I'm Coca-Cola and I need to do some market research. I've got 1,000 people and I want to know who has tried all of our different Coca-Cola products and how often have you had those in the last month, and what's your age and how many people are in your home. Those companies will be doing those surveys on behalf of companies like Coca-Cola. Charities do outbound. So with our hospitals, when we have like the Dream Home Lottery, they'll have call centers set up to call folks, and dispatch companies. So those could be both inbound and outbound. If we've got Voyago or different companies that do patient transfer, those are some examples of that. So outbound call centers are almost always telemarketing. You'll be calling people unsolicited to sell a product, or the least favorite task is asking for money. And then we've got inbound, where you're providing customer service, closing sales, you're processing information, or helping callers get the information and resources that they need. So credit card companies and utilities and airlines and banks are some examples. So what are some of those realities of working in a call center? Full-time or part-time, it could be evenings, weekends. Sometimes, depending on the company, they need people available on a 24/7 rotation, because you may be answering calls from the other side of the world. So Asia right now is a 13-hour time difference. So they need people here on that 24/7 cycle. It can be a little bit stressful sometimes, because all of those phone calls can be monitored or recorded and played back for training. You're in one location most of the day, and you're looking at a screen for most of the time with a headset on, and sometimes it's just call after call. It can be pretty fast paced. And as Goodwill mentioned, as part of their training is dealing with difficult customers, because that's a big part of it in a call center environment. You may be receiving calls from people that are really angry because they have a service that's not working, or they're not pleased with something. And dealing with rejection, hearing no and getting hung up on a lot. So yeah, some of the skills and qualifications that are very helpful to work in this sector: previous experience, flexibility to work different shifts, ability to read, write, and communicate fluently and effectively in English, proficient keyboarding skills, communication, interpersonal skills, effective customer service, being self-motivated, a professional and courteous telephone etiquette, being able to problem solve and think on your feet, to be able to troubleshoot, some listening skills, that ability to multitask, and to stay calm in situations. This is an interesting one. To know that that environment is statistically driven. So sometimes it's about how many calls you make in an hour, and it's about call productivity. Being able to adapt to change, being energetic and making it sound like every call that you make or that you have coming in is your first call of the day. Managing stress. Just some of the skills and qualifications. Something else that you may be required to do in this field is upselling and cross-selling. So upselling is, here's an example. You could go into Tim Hortons and order a regular coffee, and if you upsell, would you like that to be an extra large? So it's just taking that product and just ramping that up a bit. And cross-selling is, okay, I'll get you that coffee, Tim Hortons customer, and would you like a bagel or a donut with that? So just always selling something that goes along with that initial request. We have, with any clients that are interested in taking our call center training, we generally have our employment specialists go through a couple of prerequisites with them. And one of them are basic literacy and script reading tasks, because that's a big part of any call center role, learning and reading initially off a script. And those keyboarding skills. Most call centers would like a minimum of 30 to 40 words per minute. So there's lots of tests out there that we use to test where clients are at. Some of those transferable skills that work really well in this setting: customer service, communication, that strong digital literacy, active listening, having a positive outlook and energy, that telephone etiquette, reliability, dependability, and being able to show up for work on time, and being able to remain calm and professional under pressure, and time management. So this is just a brief kind of list of some of our call centers that you may not even realize are out there. I remember when I first heard the beer store, I'm like, what? There's a call center for that? A lot of business to business ordering and sales happen at their call center here in London. And so I've included a little bit about what their starting wages are at these centers and what some of the requirements are. Because there's a lot of call centers where a criminal record check is required, and anybody that has a criminal record may not be considered for those roles. So Bill Gosling over in City Plaza, that's one of our big employers, and their shtick is banking and insurance, requiring a high school diploma. We've got Bradford Exchange, lots of jobs here these days because they really ramp up for the Christmas season. They do collectibles, and so staff there are taking orders. And we've got the Car Group. They do customer service and arrange delivery. So they start at $16 an hour. Centennial Windows and Doors. These are the people you're going to get a call from requiring windows and doors. So they start at $15 an hour and plus commission. So you receive commission based on appointments that are scheduled, and if the salesperson that's going out to see these clients, if sales are made, the person who set the appointment in the call center gets a kickback from that. So there's a lot of money to be made on commission in that kind of outbound call center. Concentrics, they've changed names many, many times. They're out near the airport, and they do all tech customer support. And important to note there, when they have new staff starting out there, they all start out on the afternoon shift, and it takes a while before they're able to switch to a day shift. Dominion Automobile Association does all roadside assistance. They need a minimum 40 words per minute of typing skills. Escalent is the company that I talked about that is in our building at Queens and Richmond that do the surveys. eWorkplace, they do sales and business to business, and they are also on a commission basis as well as an hourly rate. And then we've got ExecuLink, who also does telecommunications and support. Wages between $14 and $18 an hour. Great Lakes Lawn Care, as well as other lawn care companies, will do outbound sales. They want contracts, they want to do weed control. So all of those companies have a pretty big team in their call centers. There's Infinity, who has an answering service and customer support for businesses. So if I have my own business and it's whatever it may be, I can call Infinity and they'll have an answering service set up for me. And so a lot of generating business calls. KGK, they do they're a medical company that does a lot of research, and so they have a call center that does a lot of participant recruitment and follow-up by some of the folks that are participating in their research. Logit, again, does outbound surveys. What else might be a little bit different on this page? I'm going to go to this one. Morneau Chappelle. I don't have a rate of pay for them. They're now called LifeWorks, and they're part of a center that does employee and family assistance programs. So their base education requirements, college education, bachelor's up to a master's degree, and pay there is going to be based on your education and experience. Yeah, so you can see there that SFZ does charity and fundraising as part of their shtick. Start.ca, telecommunications, they start off at a little bit of a higher hourly rate. Let's see, TD Bank is another biggie. They pay well. You need to have a credit check done with them and a background check, minimum of a high school diploma. And they do banking, insurance, customer service. Let's see, Teen Challenge is fundraising. We have, I had mentioned patient transfer and dispatch. And Yellow London Taxi, same type of thing. You're receiving the calls and troubleshooting. So, so in some of these jobs, you are going to the office, you're going there, or you've also got the option of working from home, which is going to have some requirements if the company you're working for doesn't provide some of these pieces. So if you need to provide your own equipment, these are some things to be very mindful of. Your computer, and the company will give you some of those specs and what they look for. Probably most definitely a Windows 10 minimum, high-speed internet connection, a phone. A lot of these companies require a landline, headset, webcam, a quiet office space, a room that locks, and a safe place to keep files and documents. You don't want to be working from home and dealing with sensitive information, and you got Rover coming and going, and kids screaming, and grandpa wondering when lunch is. So just a really quiet space, and being prepared to have an office inspection. A lot of these companies will come out to make sure all of those pieces are in place. So we offer a day-long training, which is from 9 until 4, and we do that virtually, and we address all of those issues that I just talked about. We talk about the differences between inbound and outbound. Where can you work? What kind of center might be best suited to you? Do you want to work days or evenings? Do you want to have more minimal client contact, or do you want to do a lot of that customer service? We go through the interview process. We like to invite some of our call center employers to come to our training and spend a lot of time dealing with angry and difficult customers. Yeah. So I am going to, that was a lot of information in a really short period of time. I'm going to stop sharing. And I don't know if you have any questions about that.
Hi, Tracy. There was one question that I do believe you addressed it, and it was asking about call centers that are working from home jobs. And that was addressed actually in the next slide after the question came up. So if I'm to understand this correctly, Leeds has developed a relationship with all these call centers, these many call centers, and each of them have their own needs and requirements. So it sounds like that would be a conversation if someone needed to work from home, that they would be talking to Leeds first, and you would help guide them to what call centers are more amicable to doing that than others.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. There is a question. It said, are employers provide, and a further question, are employers providing more incentive in order to turnaround a turnaround of staff?
That's a great point, Grace, because call centers have a really high turnover. It's a tough gig to work in a call center. So I think we're seeing wages increase to help retain employees. And that's also what we're finding helpful when we offer our training, to try and provide as much information to clients interested in working in this sector, to prepare them for that and to prepare them what that work environment looks like. If we've got a client that is having a hard time sitting still for an hour of online training, and they need to be moving and working with their hands, and this might not be the best sector for them. So it's really good to kind of be, just to be able to assess that before they get to the point, because you don't want to set somebody up in a job that is going to be a terrible fit for them.
I also suspect that, to answer that question a little more, my husband works at the TD Bank, is that I think what they also do is, as well as money, that they also have their own in-office incentive programs, to kind of that kind of to help employees, to give them a little bit of help, because I think people do acknowledge and employers recognize that this is difficult times. The next question, Tracy, is, do you find that employers are flexible? For example, if someone has children and family responsibilities, will they work around these hours?
Before I answer that question, I'm going to go back to your comment about TD. I remember going to an information session there, and they talked about one of their incentives is trips. So I'm not sure what it was based on, but it could be productivity or money brought in. I don't know what their criteria was. The only thing I heard, of course, was one of your bonuses is travel. And so that's a great incentive.
That's absolutely correct. Yes, that's true.
So are employers flexible if someone has children? Again, that is dependent on the employer. Some employers can be really rigid. And some, I know the company that's in our building, and I keep forgetting what the current name is. They have part-time shifts and full-time shifts, and they'll really try and navigate. So if you've got kids, then maybe that part-time shift from 9 to 2 during the day might be better for that person. So I find it very employer dependent.
Right. I think that's great. I don't see any further questions popping up, Tracy. Oh, I have something from Goodwill here. To find out more about Goodwill's expert customer service training, contact one of our career centers or an employment counselor, and it provides Goodwill's general intake line. So that's always good to have. And we have a new message. Oh, thank you. Then we have a question. It says, are a lot of the employers within the bus routes?
Yes, most employers are I think all of them are on a bus route. Sometimes what the challenge is some of those shifts will run after the buses stop running. And so we work really hard with the employers to try and accommodate transportation for those clients. So at the call center that used to be Convergys down by the airport, their shift ran until I think 11:30, 12, which didn't work very well for folks. And so we have been pretty successful accommodating that end time.
All right, I think that's some great information. Tracy and Tom and Goodwill, Lizeth and I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to share some information with us. I think this has been very informative. I don't see any further questions or messages. Goodwill again has provided their contact information. We do have Tracy's leads information available as well. If there's any further questions. I think I think that that would conclude it. Is it Tracy? I don't want to hook you and, I don't want to pull you off stage before you're done. Have I covered, have I let you have your speak? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Probably just, we've got our next call center training is coming up quickly. It's next Thursday.
Okay.
And then after that, we're looking at February for our next training.
So Tracy, did you say that it was only a 1-day call center training?
It's a one and done.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how many people can register for it at the time?
So we've got a limit of 15.
Okay.
And
Great,
if
thank you.
if we had a few more, that would be okay now that it's a virtual model.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Well, we want to thank you again, Tom and Tracy, for coming today and presenting to us. That was very informative. And if we have any more questions, we'll definitely be in touch. Thank you,
Thanks very
everyone.
much. Thank you for the
Yes,
Have a
thank
opportunity.
great
you.
afternoon.
Really liked
Bye.
it. Thank you for talking. Bye,
Thank you.
folks.
Bye.